Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
This is the show that connects the dots of confusion, delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender on Ron Siegel Radio. Chris Corrales, Lend and Loan, is with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Ron.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money. I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today National Corn on the Cob Day. Okay, so how do you like your corn on the cob? Barbecued? I don't know, because then you get all that brown crap that gets on there. How about pressure cooker? That's a good one. Now, I will share with you, I did have a great time several years back, pre-COVID. Yes, I'm dating myself. I am old. We went down to Crown Valley Beach, down Crown Valley area. I don't know. It's down a little path. I think it's, I don't know, Crystal Beach. What, I don't know. It's down there somewhere. Ocean. Think about it. It's simple enough. And we had some friends that got one of those big beer buckets that, you know, you can put a case or 2 cases of beer in it. They went down to the ocean, grabbed ocean water, filled the bucket up with the water, brought it and put it over a campfire. I don't even know if you're allowed campfires down there anymore, but put it over a campfire, boiled the water, threw the corn in there, just dumped cases of corn in with the husks and all, and made the corn in this ocean salt water. Talk about good. Now, in addition to that, then you have to have a table with all the trimmings, right? So you have butter, of course, and they had some Parmesan cheese and some, I don't know, cumin or chili powder, or I'm not into the spicy stuff. Dano's Italiano cheese or seasoning. Have you ever had the Dano's seasonings? That one's a good one. I digress. Let's go. Let's move right along, because this is a home and finance radio show. Oh yeah, wait a second. It's also National German Chocolate Cake Day. Now, I don't talk too much about German chocolate cake because I like it so much, and good friend Donna, she makes the best homemade German chocolate cake. If you're listening to the show or the replay, German Chocolate Cake Day. I did put it on social media, so maybe she'll just happen to catch a clue. I don't know, but we'll try it anyway. Hey, let's see what the markets are doing today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 117 points. S&P is up 3.61. NASDAQ is up 15 points. And oil, oil's up $1.74 a barrel. Ow! Yeah, we don't want to see oil going up because that's inflationary. Inflation is not friendly for the bonds, and we don't want to deal with that. But, you know, we're in California, so it doesn't really matter if the gas prices go down in the rest of the country. We just tax more here, so it doesn't matter. Taxes and fees, I think that we're up now about 24% taxes and fees for a gallon of gasoline. I did go yesterday. I had a speaking engagement yesterday morning, and I happened to stop off. Now, this is something that's kind of new to me. I go to Costco always for gas, but the Costco in Fullerton was significantly cheaper than the Costco in Yorba Linda. So if you're thinking about gas, I think when I talk about significant, I think it was like 15% cheaper. So when you're talking about on an average of $4.67 a gallon here in California for regular unleaded. Yeah, I know, Josh. What, $3.30 over there in Nevada? Okay, so he's about $1.30 a gallon cheaper than we are. They got gambling, so they get their revenue from gambling. We get our state, they just tax the heck out of everything. So we are looking at $4.67 a gallon of gasoline, and we do watch the gas prices and the oil prices because that gives us an idea of where gas prices are going to be going in the future. And we do all that. We find our gas prices. If you want to check it out, AAA is the site that we use to get the gas prices every business morning. So what's going on in the markets today? Well, if you're up early like me, I have no life. So, I started seeing the markets at about 4 o'clock this morning. What was going on at 4 o'clock? Not a whole heck of a lot, but when you're listening to or watching what's going on with the Trump administration, it's a 24-hour-a-day news cycle. I mean, did you see the messaging that he sent out just, I think it was yesterday when Gavin Newsom said he had never heard from the president. Well, the president sends out a message showing the copy from the readout or the log, the phone log. Yeah, we all have them on our phones nowadays, showing that he had sent a message and called Gavin Newsom Saturday morning at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, okay, so it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Gavin, he's probably still at the French Laundry, hadn't finished dinner yet, because 1 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time, 10 o'clock in the evening, California time, Gavin was probably still at dinner and he didn't take the president's phone call. Interesting, right? So can't lie, Gavin. It just shows up that way anymore. But what am I talking about here? Well, Scott Bessent finished his meetings yesterday over there with China. And it's fascinating when you look at it because he was meeting with China yesterday and they finished 14 hours of meetings in London. And, this morning he's testifying in front of Congress about the tariffs. Now, I don't care whether you like tariffs, don't like tariffs, like Trump, don't like Trump, doesn't matter. Because how does that affect the bond market? Because the bond market affects our interest rates. And we looked at that one. We also looked at the CPI came in showing that their inflation numbers are relatively tame. We like having tame inflation numbers because, again, the biggest hindrance to bonds is inflation. What is Jerome Powell going to do?
Such an idiot.
Yeah, I know he's an idiot. Right? He's going to wait till it's too late again. What does Jerome Powell always do? Instead of having the economists that are at the Federal Reserve running things, he's got the attorneys. Attorneys look historic. They want to know what's the precedent for everything. Well, the economists, they know there is no precedent. We're looking at the future, right? And we're already seeing, if you watched what Danielle DiMartino Booth had to say, the economy is slowing down. Jobs are slowing down. I was with a gentleman at my speaking engagement yesterday. He was with a company that's laying off 6,000 people, all those jobs going to AI. And we were talking about that in light because Geneva Financial has the Home Select loan. If you're worried about losing a job, if you're worrying about not being able to make a mortgage payment, the Home Select loan is the best loan on the market for it. You've heard me talk about it. GetHomeselect.com. GetHomeselect.com. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, the 5-year rule for home price perspective. And are you buried in debt? We're going to talk about a solution. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564. Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less? All without having to spend more each month than you spend right now. Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at ronsiegelradio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial when you're ready for that next home loan. Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry. Calculated from actual lock rates with the consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They don't tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator to find out what your principal and interest payment will be. Don't have a mortgage calculator? Shame on you. Because it's free. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. It is our free calculator that we give away every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Hey, we got Mitchell is watching this on from Disneyland. Okay, hi to all of our friends over there at the at Disneyland. Conventional 30-year fixed loan 6.867, that was down. Jumbo 30-year fixed 7.036, that was up. FHA 30-year fixed 6.561, that was down. It's almost like Disneyland. It's a roller coaster with the rates here today. VA 30-year fixed, that one was up 6.495. USDA 30-year fixed 6.426, that was down. And the Home Select loan 8.31. That's the best loan because it saves you money. Don't worry about interest rates when you can save money because strategy beats rate always. Strategy beats rate always. So let's see what the markets are doing today. I don't know why my lights seem to be. Do we have any? I look like I've got a sunburn or I don't know what this lighting looks like. But in any event, what are the markets doing? The S&P 500 is now down 0.29. And we look at the bonds because that's what drives the mortgage rates. 10-year treasuries down 4 basis points. The mortgage bond is up 21 basis points. Remember, when the mortgage bond goes up, rates go down. All of that stuff is available on the super secret website, google.com. Does anybody use Google anymore? I mean, I find that I'm rarely in Google. I'm using ChatGPT. That's just maybe it's just me, but that's where I kind of live now is in ChatGPT. Am I the only one? If you're not using AI, I think you're missing out on a lot because AI is the place to be right now. What's driving this market though? And it's got to do again with, I've told you this before, the markets, they despise uncertainty. Always worried about uncertainty. So when we get the consumer price index number that comes out, that gets rid of a little uncertainty because now they know where the market knows where inflation's going. And we did get the May consumer price index report show that overall inflation rose 0.1% for the month, which was 1/10 lower than the 0.2% expected. Year over year, inflation increased from 2.3 to 2.4, but the market was expecting a 2.5 print. So better than expected. See that? Bonds are going up. Core rate strips out food and energy for those that don't need to eat or drive. Increased by 0.1% as well, which was 2/10 lower than the anticipated 0.3%. Does not appear that the tariffs were captured within the report. 60 days now and they don't have the tariff information in there. I'm going to tell you that I think you know better than that.
It is what it is.
Shelter was also very well behaved. Overall, shelter reported at 0.3%, with rent at 0.2%, owner's equivalent rent at 0.3%. Helping us was lodging away from home at 0.1%, fell 0.1%. Overall, shelter's up 3.86% year over year and has been falling. We've been telling you that the real numbers have been falling. The Fed is just very, very slow to catch up with that. Headline inflation, 3-month run rate, 1% from 1.5. 6-month rate is 2.6% from 3. The core inflation, the 3-month run rate, 1.7 from 2.1. These are basically saying what's happening more recent than just the full year. Fed does look at that. Great information there. So all of those things are what's driving this rates, and we should start seeing better rates. And that doesn't even talk about the SLR that I've been telling you about that Scott Besson said is going to be 3.6 to 3.9 on a 10-year treasury by the early fall. What is that going to do to mortgage rates? It's going to help us a lot, but don't wait because that could cost you a lot of money. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So let's talk about you, because one of the things, and again, I do use ChatGPT a lot. And one of the people that that I follow a lot worked at the Federal Reserve Bank in Dallas, Danielle DiMartino Booth. And she comes out with some great stuff. And it's not great because I concur with her. It's great because she doesn't tell us opinions. She just said, Here's what the data says. You make your own opinion. And one of the takeaways in there was spending, and people are not spending as much money. Businesses are not spending as much money, and that consumer sentiment is not looking as good. And the numbers there are basically saying the consumer might be tapped out on their credit card debt. Now, if they're tapped out on their credit card debt, what are they going to do about it? Well, one option is a home consolidation loan, a debt consolidation loan, right? We talk about that all the time. RSRlinks.com/2step. RSRlinks.com/2step. If you don't have equity in your property, what are you going to do? Don't call Ghostbusters, call Chris Corrales, right? Lend and Loan is the name of the company. Lendandloan.com. So wait a second. I thought you were going to help me. I've already borrowed the money. What are you lending me?
Well, obviously, we are a lending firm as well. We do secured and unsecured loans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what our main focus is, but we also do debt resolution as well as our segment today.
Okay, what's debt resolution?
So debt resolution, basically, well, we should talk about a couple things right now, Ron. So here's some fun facts. It was ChatGPT, but we were just talking about, as you said, this is kind of fun. How many Americans have credit card debt right now? Well, better question is, how much debt is per American right now?
I'm going to guess at 41,000.
40. Okay, so it's only $1.21 trillion.
1.21 trillion. Okay,
which I thought the number would be higher. It's actually $6,329 per American.
Oh yeah, but that's a bogus number. My 10-month-old grandson, right? He doesn't have any credit card debt.
Right.
So we got to change that. Tell your ChatGPT we want to know about per American over the age of 21.
Over 21? Oh, that's going to be a fun one there.
All right. So while Chris is getting that information from his friend Chad over there, did you call your pet Chad Jenny? 867-5309. Oh, okay. Another reference to for old people. I don't know if anybody knows that one either. But the bottom line is that people have a lot of debt.
Right.
And so, Chris, for years and years, until you got into this space, I used to be a very, very ardent anti-debt resolution because, it kind of got a bad name in the day where it said, pay me all my money up front as a debt resolution company. And maybe I'll pay your creditors. Maybe I won't pay your creditors. And I make money, and 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's how it was about 20 years ago. I mean, it really was. It had a bad name. It had a bad.
It's not that way anymore.
No. It's very regulated now. It's regulated by the AFCC, the American Fair Credit Council.
Okay.
So it's a government entity. So it's definitely overviewed. Your funds are safe. But what it comes down to is Americans right now, if you have more than $10,000 of credit card debt, and
that narrows it down to everybody.
Yeah. And ChatGPT actually said 57,000.
I wasn't far off at 41.
Yeah,
okay, just guessing.
57,200 it said. So
we have to change the parameters, then I'll be right.
Right. Right. So our number one client is calling us because one, yes, they can't get a second mortgage. They're in a position where, unfortunately, through COVID, through some life event, they have too much credit card debt.
Right.
And I'm sure you know, Ron, credit cards are designed to never be paid off.
Sure. I think your minimum payment, I think, takes about 300 years to pay off the balance.
It can. It's wild.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, I think there was just one that I just read. If you have a $5,000 credit card at 17%, I believe if you just made the minimum, it's about 11 years to pay, and that's using.
And that doesn't even make sense because so many credit cards, they have a 1.5% minimum,
right?
And they're charging you 3% per month is your interest expense. So how do you ever come down, right?
Right. Yeah, and you can't.
Right. So what's the solution?
So the solution for most Americans is one of 3 prongs or one of 3 roads: bankruptcy,
right?
Or you have credit counseling.
Okay.
Or you could actually do where we could help with what is called as debt resolution. Now, there's benefits to all 3 of them. Obviously, I'm going to be biased.
Sure.
But bankruptcy, you could.
But I'm the consumer advocate, so I'm going to push back.
Right. So with bankruptcy, obviously the benefit of a bankruptcy is you could potentially eliminate 100% of the debt if you qualify.
Sure.
So the negative
bankruptcy is not just an automatic. You, like you said, you have to qualify.
Right. Most people don't understand that. And we have a lot of clients that come to us where, we talk to them about the road. And we're like, well, I'm just going to file bankruptcy. And then they come back to us, 6 weeks later, I didn't qualify.
And sometimes even if you do qualify, you qualify for a Chapter 13 bankruptcy,
right?
Which means you're going to be paying that debt off over 60 months.
Correct.
Roughly, depending on what the judge says.
Correct. And with that, you have public record. And,
right.
then with public record, obviously, people are going to see that and it could affect your credit up to 7 to 10 years. Now, that's option one. Option two, you have what is called as credit counseling. Are you familiar with credit counseling by chance?
Yep.
So credit counseling was actually infused by the credit card companies.
I wonder who they're going to be biased for.
Right. And everything what I've read and what I know is, first and foremost, it actually says credit counseling on your credit report.
Right.
So it codes like a bankruptcy. That's first negative. And the second is you typically pay, and I'm under the impression, about 125% of your debt.
Oh, isn't that special?
Yeah.
Well, something, when we come back, we're going to talk about what might be your best option and guaranteed to be an option you should explore. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564. Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less? All without having to spend more each month than you spend right now. Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio at any time at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. The 5-year rule for home price perspective. Headlines are saying home prices are starting to dip in some markets. And if you're beginning to second guess your plans based on what you're hearing in the media, here's what you need to know. It's true that a few metros are seeing slight price drops, easy for me to say, but don't let that overshadow this simple truth. Home values almost always go up over time. And if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk, AM 1490, FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of home values almost always going up in the long run. While everyone remembers what happened around the housing crash of 2008, that was the exception, not the rule. It hadn't happened before, hasn't happened since. There were many market dynamics that were drastically different back then, too. From relaxed lending standards to a lack of homeowner equity and even a large oversupply of homes, it was very different from where the national housing market is today. So every headline about prices slowing down, normalizing, or even dipping doesn't need to trigger fear that another big crash is coming. Here's something that explains why short-term dips usually aren't a long-term deal breaker. What's the 5-year rule? In real estate, you might hear talk about the 5-year rule. The idea is that if you plan to own your home for at least 5 years, short-term dips in prices usually don't hurt you much. That's because home values almost always go up in the long run. Even if prices drop a bit for a year or two, they tend to bounce back and then some over time. Take it from Lance Lambert, co-founder of Resi Club. Quote, "There's the 5-year rule of thumb in real estate, which suggests that most buyers can buffer themselves from a mild short-term declines if they plan to own a property for at least that amount of time," unquote. What's happening in today's market? Here's something else to put your mind at ease. Right now, most housing markets are still seeing home prices rise, just not as fast as they were a few years ago. But in the major metros where prices are starting to cool off a little, the red bar on the chart in the graph that we shared, the average drop is only about 2.9% since April of 2024. That's not a major decline like we saw back in 2008. And when you look at the graph again that we're showing on the screen, it's clear that prices in most of those markets are up significantly compared to where they were 5 years ago. So those homeowners are still ahead if they've been in their house for a few years or more. Big picture. Over the past 5 years, home prices have risen a staggering 55%. That's according to the Federal Housing Finance Agency. So a small short-term dip isn't a significant loss, even if your city is one where they're down 2% or so. You're still up far more than that. And if you break those 5-year gains down even further using data from FHFA, you'll see home values are up in every single state over the last 5 years. And again, there's a map on the screen if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 and FM 98.1 video feed. That's why it's important not to stress too much about what's happening this month or even this year. If you're in it for the long haul, and most homeowners are, your home is likely to grow in value. Bottom line, yes, prices can shift in the short term, but history shows that home values almost always go up, especially if you live there for at least 5 years. So whether you're thinking of buying or selling, remember the 5-year rule and take comfort in the long view. When you think about where you want to live in 5 years, how does owning a home fit into that picture? Give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And I will tell you, my mother's idea on buying houses: buy and never sell. Right? If you buy a house, wait 5 years, the value's up. Like I said, it did historic 55% there. Don't guarantee that's going to happen in the future. Take the money out and buy another one. Keep your payments on those properties low so that you've got a positive cash flow. Keep reserves in the bank. Have a home equity line of credit on every property in case there's an unexpected non-payment or you have to evict somebody. You don't want to lose the house. And a 20-year plan, you're retired. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. No guarantees there. I want to make sure we get that in there. No guarantees. rsrmoney.com. The real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. Continuing our conversation, Chris Corrales is in the house. Lend and Loan is the name of the company. And if you missed the last segment, we were talking about the 3 options you have if you've got excessive credit card debt. Now, and in many instances, I'm going to tell you one of the big problems. I know this because I talk to a lot of people. If you're not sleeping at night, call Chris. Don't call Cal. Because, the idea, the 3 process, bankruptcy, it is an option and it does work. For some, you got to qualify. Got to get the attorney or, and do all the things the right way. Credit counseling, set up by the credit card companies for the benefit of the credit card companies, of course. They want you to think that they're doing it for your benefit. And the other next option is to call Chris Corrales and talk about debt resolution.
Yes.
Explain debt resolution, Chris.
Essentially, debt resolution is this. If you're in a position where you can't make your payments or you're getting to that point, or if you just have no way of ever paying off the debt, you just want to get out of it. Worried, yes. Yeah. Essentially, we can help you with what is called as debt resolution. And what we do is we go to the credit card companies directly, and we will actually negotiate on your behalf to get the debt reduced and paid off. So here's the thing: there's a misconception that you're not paying your debt. You actually are, and a part of the negotiation process is to stop the daily compounding interest. And it's amazing, Ron, when we're able to negotiate with the credit card company, and we stop the daily compounding interest, and we actually try, and in most cases, we get a balance reduction up to 50% as an aggregate across all these cards. The payment for a traditional client, let's say your payment was $1,000 a month. Okay, and that's $1,000 a month for the next 10 years. You're never going to get out of that. And then you use the cards again and over and over.
Sure.
You can see where it is. And a lot of times I could get that $1,000 payment. We could get it down to 60 months or less, and you're looking closer to a $400 payment.
Wow.
Yeah. So a substantial savings of getting money in your pocket. If you do the math, $600 over 60 months. I believe it's $36,000.
Yeah,
if not more.
A lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't like the debt resolution because they're familiar with what was debt settlement 20 years ago. What you said.
Sure.
And that has changed now.
So how does debt resolution show up on your credit report then now?
It doesn't. There is no public record either. So there's a huge benefit to that.
So here's the thing that I look at as a consumer advocate. Okay, so debt resolution, people say, well, I don't want to do this with the credit card company. If you get behind on your payments, or if your balance gets too high or your utilization gets too high, credit card companies arbitrarily have clauses in there that allow them to take your interest rate from the average. Now, this is just an average of all credit cards, 22.84%. They can say, something, effective July, we're going to 29.95. Do they care about you? They couldn't give a hoot.
No.
Right? So why not have somebody that knows what they're doing get that reduced? Where do you see a lot of the credit card interest going when you're negotiating?
When we negotiate, it's always to zero because we're
zero.
Yes, zero. Because we're stopping the daily compounding interest, so therefore there is a 0% interest.
Okay.
On it. Now there is an APR involved with this. Typically, most consumers, when you pay this back, it's about 5% annually. There's the APR built in because obviously there's people involved, and what I want to share is there's lawyers involved. You actually have legal representation through this through a law firm.
Wow. Okay.
So it's not just Chris calling them saying, "Hey, can you reduce the debt?" No, there's an actual legal team that will represent you through this entire process.
So by understanding, then, I'm not giving legal advice. When you have a legal team representing you, the credit card companies, then probably the first thing that they're going to get is a letter that says, we're representing Mr. Jones. All further communications need to go through our office.
Correct. Yeah. So what that does in most cases, it's going to stop or eliminate the harassing phone calls.
Right.
So then now you can sleep at night.
Now, do I have to be late on my payments to get this to work?
So unfortunately, the way it works, and this is actually a clause of the credit card companies, they know what we're going to do. And there is a short-term negative effect of credit on this. So, we
Okay.
have to be, there's no surgery without getting cut.
Right.
There's a couple, but you know what I mean with that. But it's a short-term negative effect on credit that we see. But ultimately, yes, unfortunately, you do have to miss some payments because credit card companies will not negotiate till you've entered what is called as loss mitigation. And typically they want 1 to 3 payments before they'll even have a conversation with you.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
We always hear, when we're talking to people with debts, if you're getting in trouble, call and talk to your lender in advance before the problem gets too bad.
Right.
Yet they won't talk to you until the problem's too bad.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Or give you a real solution. Yeah.
Right.
A lot of times they'll just defer your interest for 6 months or something. And that truly does not help anybody.
Sure.
It's just delaying.
Because you already don't have the monies. Otherwise you wouldn't be in the situation you're in.
Right.
It's crazy. So you said that on there when you redid our conversation there with Chat Jenny, that was at 51,000, 53,000.
I believe it was 52,000 and change. Yes.
Okay. Are you seeing something like that?
Absolutely. The average consumer we're seeing these days out of my firm is about $47,000 is the average credit card debt we're seeing per individual.
And you're seeing that you're able to get that paid off in most cases in 60 months.
It's 60 months or less. Yeah. And basically we try and do it as fast as possible.
Sure.
But it's going to be more for the consumer. Obviously, breathing room is where we want to be. Put money back in your pocket. And, amortizing over 60 months, the longest term, is usually the best way to put the most money in their pocket.
Interesting. We're going to continue our conversation with Chris Corrales when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564. Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ. and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime. At 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com, the absolute best home loan on the market, bar none. Got to qualify for it. Got to have income. Got to have a decent credit score. Not great, but decent. And it is the best loan on the market. Why? Because it's the way the interest is calculated. You're paying principal first. I had a conversation yesterday with a financial advisor. I said, just give me your best guess. Now, financial advisors, they're usually good with numbers. Tell me how long it takes to pay half of a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. He said, I know being that you asked me, it's got to be a trick question. I said, it is. He said, okay, so 15 is wrong. I said, it is wrong. About 22 years to pay half of a 30-year fixed rate mortgage because of the way the amortization is, and you're paying principal first. And just like Chris was talking about in the last segment, we're talking about the daily compounding of interest. Well, we're turning the tables on that. Banks hate us for this. The Home Select loan is the best loan on the market because you're paying principal first. Now, how long do you think that 30-year loan takes to pay off? Generally about 8 to 10 years. Pretty quick. Good stuff. That is the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. Continuing our conversation, Chris Corrales is in the house. Lend and Loan is the name of the company. Lend and Loan is the name of the company. And I'm going to tell you, if you want to really get a good idea, good handle on what Chris might be able to help you with and a baseline, just go to where we've told you. You can do our 30-second credit loan application. Go to rsrlinks.com/Sora. rsrlinks.com/Sora. You're going to put in there 5 or 6 pieces of information. That's it. And as long as you get those questions correct, what is your first name? It's a tough one. That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, what's your last name? It's nothing difficult. You don't even need to look anything up. You're going to be able to see what the credit bureaus see as far as your existing debt. And it'll even give you a Equifax credit score right on there. Soft pull, so it's not going to affect your credit score. rsrlinks.com/Sora. Then you know if you're in that $52,000 range, because it does all the math for you. It's going to give you a wallet. It'll do all the math, say this is where you're at. And then you're going to call Chris Corrales. And he's going to help tell you, can we help you or can't we help you? Because there might be that too far gone. But what we want to talk about now, what I like doing, and I'm going to put Chris on the spot right here. Let's talk. I want to hear some war stories.
War stories? I actually got one on the tip of my tongue. It's just so funny. She just recently called to thank me again. It's been a little time. But let me segue into that with this. Credit cards right now, 30% interest. It's daily compounding interest.
Right.
Okay? And people are like, well, why can't I pay this off? Well, if you flip over your statement and start looking at how many years it's going to pay, reality, if you want to amortize that over 5 years, it's times 3, whatever your interest rate is. So meaning if you have a 30% interest rate, for you to pay it off, to actually do it on their terms, it's a 90% interest rate. It's times 3.
Wow.
Talk about usury, because usury is anything over 10%.
Wow.
So this is why you cannot get out of credit card debt. And this was a situation with a lady I had. She unfortunately had a husband had passed, and she had over $200,000.
$200,000 in credit card debt?
Correct.
Holy cow.
Ow! Yeah. And and she needed our help.
Sure.
And we had actually sent her down the road of bankruptcy because we thought that was a better option. But the bankruptcy individual told her, no, this is the way you need to come back. And so they were directed to us because it was no public record for her. So it was a benefit.
Okay.
So we get her set up, and the hilarity is, I'm going to say the bank. The bank has no premise on anything, but she was a Chase client, and her fear was by doing this, the tellers at Chase, everyone would now hate her. That somehow she was going to walk in, and be the,
And they're probably not even going to know.
No, they don't know. No one ever knows, and that's the advantage of it. And ultimately, we got her in a position to where we got her, cut her in half, down to $100,000 in debt from 2, got her to a 0% interest rate. Now, here's the thing: her fears were her credit was going to take a dive, and it did. There is a short-term negative effect on credit, but after about 6 months, her credit began to improve. And her fear was, I'm never going to get another Chase card again because all these accounts were closed, and I got a discount. She literally canceled with us 10 times. It was hilarious because it was talking her off the cliff. Like, look, you're going the best way. We have settlements, but she had this fear that she will never work with Chase. And finally, at a point, I told her not to call me anymore, jokingly, and we laughed about it. I said, don't call me until you check your mailbox. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, just give it a couple weeks. Well, we were coming on the nine-month mark. And so she called me one day laughing. She goes, Chris, you're never going to believe what's in my mailbox right now. I said, what? And she goes, it's a credit card offer. I said, really? Who's it from? It's from Chase. So it's full circle. It's a hamster wheel. They want to get you right back on the hamster wheel because the fact, and people say, well, wait a minute. Why would they send you another credit card when you just negotiated? Because you paid off the debt.
So we've talked about that on Ron Siegel Radio many times because we have a division at Geneva that's a portfolio lender. And I'm close with the gentleman that runs the portfolio division. And we talk all the time. People don't understand. What is it that a lender wants? A lender only wants two things. They want to get their money back, and they want their interest. But most important is getting their money back. Right. So Chase got their money back. So what are they in business to do?
Right.
Do it again so they can lend more money.
Yes.
Get their money back and get the interest.
Yes.
Right. So that person went down to a $1,600 a month payment. Yeah. Right. Just take 100,000 divided by 60.
Yeah.
So $1,600 a month from probably 5,000 or 6,000.
It was. Yeah. It was astronomical.
So it's about, so now she can live again. She can breathe again. She can go and do things again. And if she was making that other payment, she could even accelerate the payments, I would assume.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now your statements look good. And I'm sure that you probably put her in touch with one of the companies that has a credit building card of some sort.
Well, she actually had enough good credit. It's not always a death sentence. Sometimes we don't include all debt. So if you have other debt that's in good trade lines.
So again, another benefit versus bankruptcy, because bankruptcy wants to see everything.
Correct. So you can be selective.
Right.
Yeah. And so for her, she did have a short-term negative effect, as do most of our clients. It's a short-term negative effect. It typically is around 6 months where we start seeing an improvement in credit.
Well, do they close the credit cards that are involved?
In most cases, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So the biggest issue then that you're going to have, and the reason that I know that you're saying the 6 months, because we do talk to our friends over at Blue Water Credit, is your length of credit is generally going to drop because you close the accounts.
Correct.
Right. And that's what 15%, I think, of your credit score. Right.
Correct.
So that when over time, even if you did nothing, as long as you've still got credit cards or you've got a mortgage or you've got a car loan, right? Those things are all aging. So your length of credit history is growing and it's going to improve your score organically.
Correct.
Saving a lot of money.
Yeah. It's just, again, people are the fear of stopping payments for a few months to get the benefit of getting the debt behind them. It's like,
and what does all this cost, Chris? I mean, because I'm sure you guys don't work for free.
Yeah, no. So it's all built into the payment. So
Okay.
there's no additional cost, no additional fees. You'll get a payment. But if you were to do this over 60 months, and it's fresh in my mind, you're looking at an APR right around 5%. So,
Wow.
so you could pay 30% daily compounding interest or 5% annually as an APR.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yes.
And then do I make one payment or am I making multiple payments?
Typically, it's monthly payments. We could even do biweekly payments.
Okay.
So it's
So does that go to you or to like not Chris Krause? But
no.
an escrow account or something?
So yes. So back in the day when we talk about debt settlement and where people have the bad vibe about it,
Right.
It was going into a general fund, and then there's people now, lawyers and whatnot that are at Club Fed per se because they were embezzling the money. The government stepped in. Everything now, every person has their own individualized escrow account. And here's the best thing. When we do a settlement, that money is the consumer's. It's not my money. We will negotiate the debt. And then we go to the consumer and we say, hey, we got you 48 cents on the dollar. We think you should settle. Or we'll give them advice. Hey, we're at 51 cents on the dollar. We think we could get a better settlement. What do you think? So you're in control of your money at all times. And here's the thing, which I don't recommend. If something came up in life and you needed that money out of the escrow account, it's your money and you could actually take it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a whole different world than what it used to be.
Right. Absolutely.
And your fees are all built into that, so I don't have to
Everything's
worry
built in.
about it.
Yep.
God, sounds pretty good there, Chris.
It's not a bad deal.
Sounds like if you want more information on this, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Chris Corrales, Lend and Loan is the name of the company. You're the beneficiary because you're listening to Ron Siegel Radio. And as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And remember, make a lot of money so you help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.